And yeah, first of all, just any team news ahead of the Boxing Day game?
I guess from the game, as far as I'm aware, no issues. And obviously, Destiny, who was on the bench, obviously wasn't 100%, but he should be right for the next game. Bentancur's available, obviously, after his suspension. And that's kind of it at the moment.
Just overall on the season so far, your side averages 6 shots on target per game, more than anyone else. You've scored more goals than anyone else in the league, and your goal difference is only bettered by the 3 teams at the top. Yet you're 11th in the league. Do you feel like a little bit unlucky and surprised to be where you are?
Oh no, I don't think you feel unlucky because I think these kind of things. I think over the course of a season, you'd like to think it all evens out. I mean, there are circumstances to kind of where we're at from a position on the table, and a lot of that is down to sort of both, I guess, inconsistency in performances, sometimes inconsistency in games, and also kind of inconsistency in the kind of team we can put out there. All those kind of things have kind of damaged our sort of ability to get into a stronger position in the league. But as you said, and I've said all along, I still think there's growth in the team during this period. I still think there's a lot of positive things within what we're doing, notwithstanding that we need to improve our position.
And you mentioned the inconsistency of the players you've been able to put out. It's like no secret that you've struggled with injuries this year. Just a week until the January transfer market, is that something that you might be looking into, particularly for a bit of reinforcement in defence?
I think, reinforcement. Like I said a while ago, kind of been planning, and a lot of it was going to be around sort of where we're at around this time. Fair to say we're still a little bit short in a couple of areas and we need to reinforce. So, but January's tricky in terms of, what sort of, players you can bring in. And, for us, ideally, like for any club, I guess you want to bring in people who are going to make you stronger. But I think the fact that obviously we're still in we're in the Carabao Cup semi-final, still got Europe, FA Cup, sort of we're in all the competitions. It's not like our schedule's going to sort of ease up at any stage. So I think it makes sense. We will try and reinforce where and sort of what number we'll have to wait and see.
And you mentioned Rodrigo Bentancur there. How big of a boost is that to have him back, and can we expect him to be starting on Boxing Day? Yeah,
it's good to have him back. He's obviously, he's been working hard at training, in terms of Boxing Day, we'll see. But certainly just to have an extra body. I think, what the players have sort of had to deal with, core group of players over the last sort of 3 weeks or so has been, very, very demanding on them, fair to say. Knock on wood, most of them have got through it pretty well in terms of not getting any more injuries, thankfully for us. But it'll be nice to have just some ability to, rotate some players, and even sort of make substitutions in games that hopefully will help us.
Cheers. Good luck.
Nev. Hi. Merry Christmas. Good seeing you, Ange. When the team goes through a difficult defeat, like over the weekend, what do you sense from the players in terms of their reaction, in terms of the spirit in the dressing room?
Yeah, look, I still feel like, the players, and I see that they've still got real belief in what we're doing. But, it's difficult because it's a tough day. It's a tough day for the supporters. It's a tough day, for the players. It's a tough day for all the people who work so hard at the club. From my perspective, I take responsibility for that because I'm the one that's kind of charting this course for us. And, what I try and sort of reiterate is that, it's all hopefully for a greater purpose. And again, that's my ultimate responsibility, is to try and bring success to the club. And but you understand in the meantime, it's not nice seeing the players out there, doing everything in their power to try and get a result. But obviously, with the situation we're in, there are limits to what they can do. So you feel, I certainly feel that responsibility, but as disappointed as they are, they're still very, very determined to continue.
I believe that the Liverpool game was the first time this season you lost by more than one goal difference. Is that something that potentially you find as a positive that encourages you moving forward, because perhaps it shows you that in terms of qualities you can go out there and challenge most of the teams in the league?
I don't think there's any doubt we can challenge most of the teams in the league. I think we've shown that already. Look, I said after the game, Liverpool were too good for us. They're a very good team. They're in great form. They're in a great moment in terms of where they're at right now. They're in a sort of sweet spot of great form, very settled. All their players healthy. So they're probably in the best position they've been. And fair to say we're not. And combination of that and we weren't anywhere near the level we needed to be to try and compete with the best team in the league. So you accept that. It doesn't feel nice, but you accept where you're at, and the goal is to bridge that gap.
Nottingham Forest this Boxing Day. Maybe their first summer in the Premier League, the recruitment from the outside looked a bit hectic, but how impressive with the way they've been growing, especially the improvement this season under Nuno.
Absolutely, yeah. No, even last year, I think from when Nuno took over, I think, like I said, I think when they went up to the Premier League, it seemed like there was a lot of transfer activity at Nottingham. I think there needed to be, but within that, you could tell they had recruited some quality. It was just a matter of allowing that to sort of settle in and I guess finding the right way forward in terms of how they play. And since Nuno's got in from the back end last year, you could tell that they're all sort of now playing in a way I think that suited them, and the team's growing all the time. Like I said, they've got some quality players in there, and they're having a really good season. That particularly at their place, it's going to be a great challenge for us. Thank you.
Hi, Ange. Good morning. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Sunday, positive was your team scored 3 goals against best team in the country so far. Obviously, you lost the game then. And afterwards, I got the sense very firmly that you were angry at some of the questioning once again of your team's tactics. Was that fair? I'm perceiving you were angry about it.
No, I wasn't angry. I was kind of, like I said, you've just had a heavy defeat, and like I said, I take responsibility for that because I see what effect that has on everyone involved with the football club. So that sort of weighs heavily on you. But I don't think there are many managers who bounce into interviews after being beaten and sort of feel cheery about it. And fair to say I'm getting tired of the same questions and answering the same way. I just think it's almost like people want to sort of, poke the bear to see if I react. And obviously after a loss, it's a lot easier for people to get a reaction out of me.
The one thing you have suffered more than maybe some other clubs as well is injuries this season. Player welfare, we've spoken about this before, but a lot of other clubs are now having key players going down injured. Is it time for the authorities to look at how often players are asked to go to the well? I mean, last season you had the opposite, you didn't have enough games, but this season it seems like you're also having too many.
Yeah, look, I think I've said before that's something that authorities need to look at. Either, as you said, I think it's across the board. Really apart from maybe Liverpool, everyone else has had sort of fairly significant injuries. Us more than most, but most clubs have been affected, and I think it's why the sort of Premier League's pretty tight apart from Liverpool, to be honest. I think it comes down to either the fixturing at some point needs to ease, whether that happens or not. I'm not too optimistic about it because it seems like every year we're adding more tournaments, so I don't think that's really kind of making an impact. It's either that or you increase squads and give opportunities to clubs to have bigger squads, because certainly the current workload for players is becoming, I think, increasingly difficult to manage.
And finally, ahead of last week's game with Liverpool, Arne Slot said some really lovely things about you, praised you and your style of play. Pretty much similar things that Nuno Espírito said in his press conference ahead of this game with Forest. How do you see how he's done at Forest? And do you know much about Nuno? Have you met you apart from last season? Have you met him much?
No, look, I followed Nuno's career for quite a while. He had, he had a couple of my players, Australian players at times in his teams, and look, I got great admiration for him because, he went through a similarly tough time where people just like to write people off, even though he'd done a great job at Wolves. He obviously came here and didn't work out for him, which it just happens, mate. And but he's shown he's a top manager, and as I said, he's doing a fantastic job at Forest. You've got to think, last couple of years, the last few years, the teams that have come up have really struggled. Forest have thrived. They're one of the few that have really thrived since they've gone up, and great credit goes to him and the way he's managing. I think he's a good guy. Like, I've only come across him a couple of times, but you get the sense of what kind of people they are, and he's a good guy, but he's a top manager. Thanks, mate.
Ali. Hi, Ange. Merry Christmas to you.
You too.
You've been so proud of your players and the kind of the effort they've put in with such a small group. I just wondered, as a manager, how do you kind of balance it out with the need to also be critical at times, I suppose, when they make mistakes and things like that? How do you deal with kind of that balance?
Yeah, you're never critical of mistakes, because mistakes are, like I've said before, they're just part of being a human being and being a footballer. So I'm not critical of mistakes at all. To me, it's about intent. It's about endeavour. If players are trying to do the right thing and it's not working out, well, you just got to keep helping them. So I'm not. I can't be critical of this group of players at the moment in any sense. And I think it would be unfair for anyone to, because what they're doing is they're giving absolute maximum effort. That's backed up by the physical parameters you put against what they're doing, and they're trying to do it in the way that I'm asking them to. So how can I be critical of that? I think that would be hypocritical of me to kind of I think the players are doing their part. They're doing it to the maximum of their ability, and it's a credit to them. And I still think in the long term that's going to hold us in good stead with the growth they're going to have, because if they can maintain belief through this tough period, then like I said, we'll hit smoother waters. We'll get to a better place, and I think it's going to make them better equipped to handle what's ahead.
So about Destiny, what was the issue he had?
He's just a bit sore from the game before. Obviously, he had a bit of a quad after the Southampton game. So he trained, but he wasn't feeling 100%. So, we can't afford any more injuries. So, in a normal situation, you might have risked him and say, well, you know what, he felt pretty good. But if I get one more player down, we're at bare bones anyway. So we just felt it was more prudent to not use him if not required.
And Archie Gray obviously has adapted so well to what you've asked of him. Is that a potential position for him now going forward?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, that'll depend kind of on Archie and how he develops. He's growing all the time. Again, what he's doing at the age of 18 in the Premier League, toughest league in the world, it's just, like I said, that's why I'm really proud of the players and the efforts they're putting in. They're not seeking or wanting excuses. They're disappointed with the way things went on the weekend. But like I said, for us, the growth we're going to get from players like Archie and others is enormous.
Just a quick one on January transfers. I mean, how do you balance the need, because you need bodies now, so you kind of preferably would be better to move early in the window, but then also, like you say, getting the right players.
Yeah, that's a balancing act. I mean, you don't want to sort of, you don't just want to panic and sort of bring in anybody that you don't feel is going to help our cause in the back half of the year. So but I think we've already shown we're pretty sort of methodical and sort of prudent about our work, and we'll make sure we bring somebody in who's going to help us.
Finish the section with George, please.
Hi, Ange. Brendan Johnson's had a very productive season, but found himself out of the team lately. So what more do you want to see from him over the next week to 2 weeks?
Nothing more. You just keep doing what he's doing. Obviously, the balance of the team, I've had Decky there, and Decky's doing really well. He scored, I think, in the last 5 games. So it's just a balance of the team. And, part of it is, again, we don't have a lot of options up there. And it's about managing that load. And, again, we're already overburdening a couple of players in that area. So it's good to have Brendan, who we're kind of managing through this period, and he'll play significant minutes.
And Rodrigo obviously made a mistake and has served his punishment. How kind of determined is he to come back in and help the team? Because I imagine he's sat there for the last 7 games and obviously seen how much the squad and the team have gone through.
Yeah, I think that's the case for all the guys. Even the injured guys. They're around the group all the time, and they want to help. They want to contribute. They know we're in a tough moment, and I guess for Rodrigo, it's been even more frustrating because it's not an injury that's kind of kept him out. But as you said, he made a mistake. He's served his punishment now, and he wants to help the team.
And just finally, what does Christmas Day look like for you? I think last year you said the family left you and went back to Australia. Are they here this year, or are you going to be home alone?
It's a family tradition, mate. I'm on my own, and family's in the warmer climate in Australia with family. I think we've got a couple of young boys, mate, and it's important. They're around family at this time, and so I'll kind of give them a call in the morning and then get on about my day.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.